This lesson is for people who are progressive people committed to voting, who are trying to influence people in their network who are left-leaning, but who may or may not vote. The first phase of the REACH method is reflect. And reflect refers to the idea that you want to get ready for the conversation, get ready to have it in a different way than you usually talk. And that means reconnecting to your positive intention, both for yourself, for them, and for the conversation itself. So one aspect of that is calming yourself down and getting ready. And we have suggestions attached to module 3 about some things to do about that, whether it's progressive body relaxation or deep breathing, etc. You want to calm yourself down. A second part is rekindling your compassion for the person. This person is your acquaintance or friend, and it's useful to do things explicitly to kind of reconnect your heart or your heart energy to that person. We have suggestions in that same worksheet for that. Some things called compassion boosters, whether it's thinking of them laughing or thinking of them crying or thinking of positive moments you've had. You also want to reconnect to your intention for the conversation. And your core intention is to get rid of the wake up, you dummy, don't you realize how important this is energy, which is often infected in conversations about the election with people who are not committed to voting. And one thing on that, if you've known this person for more than 2 years, you probably have already been through an election where they were not as committed to voting. So there's no need for you to let this election undermine your relation completely where you have less influence on them. Now, there's a last point related to this, and that is when you're using this method of influence, there's a paradox. You're doing it because you want to influence them. You're committed to influencing them. That's why you're calling people up and talking to them, but you can't bring too much of that thirst to any particular conversation, because if people sense that you really want them to change right now, they don't want to change. Everybody has a toddler, you ain't the boss of me, inside of them. So you got to hold it in a paradoxical way. And part of the reflect step is to remember that you're not too thirsty today to have them change. One last point. As you start the conversation, you want to already have thought about what's your exit strategy. Even though this is a compassion-based method and it works pretty well most of the time, things can still go sour. So you want to be ready to say things like, I realize this isn't a good time for me to have this conversation. I'm a little bit too triggered or I'm distracted. Or this setting is not good. It's too cold in here to really have a good conversation. So you want to have your exit strategy ready before you begin. And getting all of that together is what the reflect step is about. If you like the content of this video, please press like or subscribe, because that helps the algorithm push it out to more people who might want to see it. Anything you do in support, whether it's a like or a subscribe or a share or even a small financial contribution to this self-funded project, is helpful in making sure we can continue this important work of spreading compassion for the sake of democracy.